Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be covering this guy.
Use logic. Think for yourself.
Wait, now I know I've seen this guy somewhere before.
My airplane is upside down.
Ah, that's it. Glenn Hall, the infamous My Plane is Upside Down lawyer, here to give us 10 bad reasons to believe in the flat earth. Click the thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's begin.
Well, today I'm going to give you my top 10 reasons why I believe the earth is flat. And this is based upon what I've looked into for the last 3+ years.
I do find it quite amusing when a person thinks they can debunk physics-based reality with only 3 years worth of research. A person with a master's in physics will typically go to school for 6 years or more, so I wonder what he thinks a physicist does with the other 3 years of college they go through. Glenn, you're an idiot.
And it's based upon reason. It's based upon simply thinking through the issues, thinking through things that we're told, looking at pictures of things.
You hear that, everyone? The Earth's flat because this guy has been looking at things for 3 years. Hey Glenn, you ever stop and look at a single sunrise or sunset during those 3 years? Or boats going over the horizon? Where do you think all that shit goes? Because you can't pull out a telescope and see them getting further away? Stop watching flat earth videos and staring at flat earth pictures all day. The earth is a globe, it's not flat, and flat earthers are fucking idiots.
The first reason is very simple. There has never been one scientific test or experiment that has proved that the earth moves.
Now that's a lie. There have been many tests that have shown that not only does the earth rotate, but that it also goes around the sun and not the other way around. A few of those tests include Michelson-Gale, Sagnac, Airy's failure, Foucault's pendulum, and finally Bob from Globebusters.
Well, the second reason really is a very good reason, a very profound reason. And that is that science's explanation of the supposed 4 different movements of the earth is ludicrous. Now, I had to write these things down so that I would get these facts correct, but
well, you know this guy's a lawyer when he says his belief system requires him to argue against facts. Facts aren't up for discussion because they are by definition factual. Glenn, I wouldn't hire you to be my traffic ticket attorney because you are an idiot.
But here's the first one. And everybody knows this. The first movement that people know about is that the earth supposedly spins on its axis eastward a full rotation every day, and that's how we get day and night. Okay? If that's true, then the earth is spinning at the equator at the speed of 1,000 miles per hour.
Oh man, here we go again. 1,000 miles per hour at the equator like it's a big deal. Give me a break, you idiot. It's 15 degrees per hour or 0.00069 RPM. And when you look at it in those terms, it's not very fast.
Second, scientists say that the earth moves around the sun in a nearly circular orbit at the rate of 67,000 miles per hour.
More big numbers to confuse flat-minded simpleton idiots. I'll let him get through his astonishment before I show him how wrong he is.
The third, our solar system, the sun, the earth, and the planets, Venus, Mars, etc., whirl around the center of our galaxy at 490,000 miles per hour. Well, which way is it moving? Is it going this way? Is it going that way? While the earth is going this way, and then while it's doing this?
So his fourth speed argument is separate from the first three, so I'll stop it here for a second. All of these perceived motions play such a little role in any force that we might feel, as we are pretty much traveling in a straight line and at a constant motion as we traverse the universe. And we don't perceive uniform motion internally, only changes in uniform motion.
So you've got these three movements going on, but that's not all. Scientists speculate that our galaxy is hurtling toward the great attractor.
I left this motion out of the first three motions because the first three motions describe a circular motion, where the fourth one is almost purely linear. However, the argument is the exact same. We don't perceive constant motion, only changes in constant motion. So you shouldn't feel anything.
Well, that's my second reason why I believe that we live on a flat Earth, because there's no way. There's no way that the Earth is moving in four directions at speeds that boggle the mind, speeds that we can't even comprehend.
Your argument from incredulity does not impress me, as I don't have a problem conceiving and comprehending the galaxy and everything in it moving at the incredulous speeds that flat Earth idiots are demoralized by.
My third reason why I believe that we live on a flat Earth is that there is a fixed order of the stars, the sun, and the moon. A fixed order.
Flat Earthers are such fucking idiots. Guess what, Glenn? There's a fixed order to your car as you drive at 100 miles per hour as well. Speed means nothing when you fail to speak of it in relative terms. In other and more flat Earth friendly words, if two objects are traveling at the same speed and in the same direction, you might as well say they are traveling at 0 miles per hour relative to each other. They will never change distance from each other, and they will always be in the same alignment as well. This is why speaking of the speed of things when it comes to our cosmos is a really bad argument for the flat Earth.
Now, there's no logical or reasonable way for us to even explain how could these stars stay in the same order for thousands of years? How could we have the constellations, Orion, and all the others that are out there? How could we have these constellations perfectly aligned forever, as far as the memory of man is concerned, if the Earth was hurtling through space in four different directions at crazy speeds? Think logically now.
Well, that's where you messed up, Glenn. Flat Earth idiots will never understand anything that requires logical thinking. But let me give you the logical and reasonable explanation that you requested. Picture this. You are standing in a really long truck that is driving down the highway. You have a frisbee with 3 pennies attached to it with tape. Now throw that frisbee down the length of the truck so that you get the rotation of the frisbee, the curved trajectory of the frisbee, and the straight path of the truck. At any point, you could stop the experiment and measure the distance between the 3 pennies, and they will never change. This is because that even with all the motions involved, all 3 pennies are always traveling together. The same thing goes for the visible stars in our night sky.
Fourth reason that I believe in a flat Earth is that there is no Coriolis effect. The Coriolis effect states that you have to make adjustments with things for the movement to adjust for the movement of the Earth. So, for example, the Earth is supposedly moving to the east at about 1,000 miles per hour. And so if you have an airplane that's flying, and that airplane has to land on a runway that's running from south to north, and it's coming in from the south, the Coriolis effect would say that that airplane has to be moving a little bit to the east in order to just hit that runway right. Because remember, it can't go straight because the Earth is moving so fast. It's got to adjust for the Coriolis effect.
Glenn, you're wrong on so many levels here. First, let's start with the simple stuff. The only time the Coriolis effect would cause a plane to need to correct eastward is if it was flying towards the equator. So your example is only tenable in the southern hemisphere, And let's not forget to mention that an airplane is powered, not ballistic. So an airplane will make minor corrections throughout the entire flight to maintain its desired flight path. Now for the complicated material. The Coriolis force is a fictitious force that is a result of an inertial frame of reference existing in a non-inertial or rotating reference frame. Let me try to give you an easily understandable example. Let's say that someone is firing a projectile from the equator at a target that is north of the equator. Let's also say that we, as observers, are standing behind the target and watching the projectile travel towards the target. From our perspective, everything is at a standstill, whether the Earth is rotating or not. This is our frame of reference, and it's inertial. So if the Earth was also inertial, or not spinning, then the projectile would follow a straight line path from the time it was fired until it reached the target, obeying Isaac Newton's first law of motion. What we notice in reality is that the projectile will have a deflection to the east when fired away from the equator, which is due to the direction of the rotation of the Earth. The conserved linear speed, which at the equator represents 15 degrees per hour, represents a higher angular speed at the more northern latitudes. Now, from our frame of reference, behind the target, it would appear that this deflection violates Newton's first law of motion. An object traveling in a straight line must remain traveling in a straight line at a constant velocity unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. This unbalanced force is the Coriolis force, and while the Coriolis force isn't really an actual force, it does manifest itself as a force in our reference frame that appears to push the ballistic projectile in the direction of rotation when traveling away from the equator and against the rotation when traveling towards the equator. Don't worry, Newton, your first law is still intact.
Men shooting rifles, they say, have to adjust for the Coriolis effect. Men shooting missiles over in Europe during the war have to adjust for the Coriolis effect. No, they don't. Nobody does. Nobody did. Nobody ever did.
Well, this isn't entirely correct either, because in the early 20th century, European ships fought with German ships near the Falkland Islands. The Falkland Islands are in the southern hemisphere, and when the European ships failed to take the change of hemisphere into account, their calculations for the Coriolis corrections were off by twice as much as predicted and in the wrong direction. In other words, if the correction in the northern hemisphere was 50 meters to the left, then the ballistics fired in the southern hemisphere would miss by 100 meters to the right. Once they took this into account, they became much more accurate, eventually defeating the Germans after expending most of their ordnance.
When people learn to fly airplanes, the first thing they learn is assume that you're flying over a flat Earth. Assume that you're flying over a non-moving flat plane.
Yeah, Glenn, and when you're driving in your car, assume that the interior is stationary as well. This is a very basic concept that even children understand. Glenn, you're a fucking idiot.
Why is it called an airplane? Because it moves in the air over the plane.
I'm just gonna leave this right here and ding the idiot for not looking it up himself.
Yeah, you said why is an airplane called an airplane? And I did have to just quickly look up the reason why. But the reason that an airplane is called an airplane is because the aircraft have static planes extending either side of the aircraft. You know, aeroplane, the wings. It's nothing to do with what you were saying. So please don't call us retards when you get the most basic of things wrong.
Number 5. The fifth reason I believe in a flat Earth is that airplanes, they fly level, right? If they were flying over a sphere, they would constantly have to be dipping their nose down in order to stay with the contour of the Earth. Because if they didn't, they would shoot up into space, ultimately, and they would be so far away from the Earth, they might not be able to breathe. But pilots never adjust their noses. Pilots level. They fly level. They have instruments on board, a gyroscope that keeps them level. They don't tip the nose down in order to stay with the contour of the Earth.
These flat earthers are getting stupider and stupider. Glenn, Does a baseball have to have topspin to eventually hit the ground? Or, better yet, when a batter hits a ball in the air, why does the ball even come down? Because of gravity, you idiot. And the pilots don't have to tip the nose down to follow the curve because gravity does it for them. And all they have to do is generate enough lift and thrust to overcome the drag and gravitational pull of the Earth.
The sixth reason. There could be no independent wind currents on the Earth if the Earth were moving through space in 4 different directions.
Nope. Wrong again, Glenn. Air currents are generated on Earth from pressure differentials that are the result of the atmosphere being heated by the sun. This causes air molecules to speed up or slow down relative to the volume of air around it. Go back to the car example. When you are driving 100 miles per hour, why does the air coming out of your vents not hit you at 100 plus miles per hour? Because it's all relative to the air around it. Therefore, the speeds we travel through the cosmos would actually play no role on the air currents on the surface of the Earth.
The butterfly. How could that butterfly even get up in the air? You know, they always say gravity is the answer to everything. How does that butterfly defy gravity? Where does its strength come from? How can it get up above the great force of gravity?
The butterfly argument. Well, at least we know that he comes from the Eric Dubé school of bad physics for idiots. The first thing we must cover is that the gravitational force is by far the weakest of the 4 fundamental forces. The only reason it appears to be strong is due to the massive size of the Earth. However, one object alone does not determine the force of gravity. It requires 3 measurements to be sound: the mass of the Earth, the distance from its center of mass, and the mass of the butterfly. Now, the mass of the Earth and the distance to its center determine the acceleration all objects would experience at the surface. We take that acceleration and multiply it with the mass of the butterfly, which is extremely small, to get the force pulling it down to the surface, which is also extremely small. And as we covered already, the only thing a butterfly would need to do to fly is generate enough lift to overcome the force of gravity pulling it down.
My 7th reason for believing in a flat Earth is that water surfaces are always level, never curved.
I love when flat earthers use words like always and never without actually understanding the ramifications of using such terms. If water was always flat and never curved, then how do you explain the meniscus that every student of chemistry or biology has dealt with in a lab? Glenn Hall, you're a fucking idiot.
Water's always level. Why do they call it sea level? There would be no sea level if the Earth were curved, because the sea would always be at a different level.
No, it wouldn't, you idiot. I don't think you understand the concept of sea level on a globe, which is the average distance from the center of the Earth's mass to the level of the oceans. Now, sea level isn't precise unless you're actually considering the different densities of land around the Earth and the fact that the Earth is an oblate spheroid. But sea level in general is relatively the same all around the globe.
Because if I lived on a globe, here I am at the top, sea level would be way down here. 1,000 miles to the east and 2,000 miles to my west.
Well, it's confirmed. Glenn's a fucking idiot. That's not how sea level works. You're making the assumption that sea level drops as you go from north to south, which has nothing to do with sea level at all. Sea level, as stated before, is a distance measured to the center of mass of the Earth. What do you guys think? Is Glenn trying to fool everybody as a Poe? Or is this lawyer just that stupid? Leave your comments below.
My 8th reason. There is no observable curvature over either water or land. There is a geometrical equation, it's 8 inches times miles squared, concerning how far something should be below eye level from a particular place. The further you are away from it, the further down it should be.
Well, I would say that the best and most evident pictures of curvature over land are the observations of Mount Rainier and Mount St. Helens. These pictures show with absolute proof that the Earth is curving away, as the peaks in the distance are physically taller than the peaks in the foreground, and yet they still appear lower in elevation than the shorter peak. This could not happen if the Earth was flat.
Now, the ninth reason is using logic based upon these things that we see in nature. Logic says this.
My favorite, the logical argument. Well, this isn't going to end well for you, Glenn, but let's continue.
First of all, the logical proposition, and I did a whole video on this, you could look it up and find it if you want to, but logically, there is this. If the Earth is a sphere, then there is curvature on the Earth. Do you understand what that means? If the Earth is a sphere, there is curvature on the Earth. So you know that it's a logically true statement to say that if the Earth is a sphere, then there is curvature. That is logically true. The contrapositive statement is also true, and it says, if there is no curvature, then the Earth is not a sphere.
So your ninth reason is based on the logic that if you can't see curvature, then it must not be a sphere. The only problem with your logic is that the contrapositive statement is only true when all options and explanations have been completely exhausted. Are you standing on the beach and watching the sunset? Have you logically concluded that this also falls within your belief that the Earth is not a sphere? Are you pulling out a telescope and bringing back ships that seem to disappear over the horizon for everyone else? No, you aren't. So you haven't addressed all the evidence that supports the Earth having a curved surface. I can only imagine him in court saying,
"If it doesn't fit, you must acquit."
Glenn, you're an idiot.
The 10th reason. All scripture references to the Earth say that the Earth is fixed and cannot be moved. Every single one.
No, Glenn, that is incorrect. All geocentrists and flat Earth idiots may say that the scripture supports a flat or stationary Earth, but actual biblical scholars say that you guys are batshit crazy, because the Bible and most other ancient religious texts were written during a time where the scientific knowledge about the shape of our planet and the construction of the cosmos was simply unknown.
And all scripture references to the sun, the moon, and the stars say that they move over the Earth. They move with relation to the Earth. There is not one scripture, not one, that says that the Earth moves with respect to the sun, the moon, or the stars. In fact, the scripture says specifically the Earth shall not be moved.
Which is completely explainable when you make the surface of the Earth your frame of reference. From that point of view, the sun, moon, and stars all appear to move around the Earth instead of the Earth, moon, and planets orbiting around the sun. However, since the days of Copernicus, we have been able to deduce that it is in fact a heliocentric solar system and not a geocentric flat Earth idiot convention.
Now there's one great passage in Scripture, it's in Joshua, where Joshua needed more time in order to win a battle. This is in Joshua chapter 10. And in Joshua 10, verse 12, Joshua commanded the sun and the moon to stand still. He didn't command the earth to stand still. He didn't say, "Earth, stand still." He said, "Sun, stand still at a specific place." And then he said, "Moon, stand still at a specific place." And then the next verse says, "And they stood still for about a whole day."
I have been waiting for a religitard flat Earth idiot to finally bring this up in a video. This verse in Joshua actually shows how the Bible has significance to the scientific community as a way to accurately date certain historical events. Now, I say certain and not all because I know there's a bunch of mudtards out there who use the Bible as evidence for the fictitious flood. But this passage in Joshua marks the first recorded annular eclipse in human history and has had a significant impact on confirming the dates of Ramses' reign in Egypt. An annular eclipse is a special type of solar eclipse that occurs when the moon is far enough away from the Earth that the sun's edge will show around it. If a solar eclipse occurs at or around the moon's apogee, then there will be a ring of fire in the sky, which is nothing more than the moon not covering the whole sun due to its reduced angular size. I'll leave a link to the article that talks about the historical significance of this passage in the description.
So these are my top 10 reasons why I believe that we live on a flat earth.
Let me tell you something, Glenn. You got some pretty shitty reasons for believing that the earth is flat. It kind of seems as if the only evidence you accept is an interpretation that supports your belief system. As a purveyor of logical intelligence far beyond us mere mortals, I find it interesting how much confirmation bias you are willing to accept and openly display. So let me leave you with these kind words of logic. Glenn, you're a fucking idiot. Now I'd like to take the time out to thank Glenn Hall for putting out his original video,
My airplane is upside down.
which has successfully encouraged other flat earth idiots to voice their stupidity with confidence. Thanks a lot, Glenn. You truly are a fucking idiot. Another video up, another idiot down. Be sure to check out Tau Ceti Alpha's new release, Flat Earthers Full Retard Mode, episode 32. You can click on the link at the end of this video or check the description. Now I'd like to say thank you to all of my channel members and patrons whose support is helping me grow my channel daily. I cannot fully express my absolute gratitude for each and every one of you. I'm Father Skeptic, and I'm out.